Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. So today I am starting a new vlog for the Amazing Readathon. I have read a lot of books so far. It's now face-off weekend, so this is a chance to read as many books as possible within 48 hours. I am on team spooky, so we read spooky books. And essentially the Amazing Readathon, I did mention about it in my June TBR, which I'll leave in the cards, so you can go check that out if you want. But essentially it's about reading books at different cities, and you have to read to get there. So it's based off of Race Across the World, that's what it's called in the UK, where you're racing to get to certain cities and checkpoints across the world. And that's what we're doing in this readathon. So we've been to Toronto, Buenos Aires, Berlin, Paris, and Cape Town. And I have read for all of those and done some sightseeing as well. But I do think I'll do a roundup on all of the books that I've read, because I feel like this month I'm going to read so much. And I'd like to round that up for you guys. So with that, I am going to read a ton more this weekend. So for Face Off, I'm filming this introduction slightly into the challenge, I guess, this weekend. So I have finished 2 books already for Face Off. They were both middle grade books, which were such a fun twist. Obviously I read a lot of horror and thrillers, and that's what I have done for all of these prompts, because that is also my team's genre. But I like to break up my spookiness with a couple of middle grades just to make it more fun and lighthearted. I'm moving on to more spooky books, some shorter ones, and I want to show you my stack that I've chosen for this weekend. I'm hoping to read as many of these as possible. So obviously in this vlog I will show you the books and tell you about them when I finish them, so on and so on. So with that, I have a stack right here. And so the first one on top is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. So this is a host's pick, like the host's favorite. And I had this secondhand copy, which I've been wanting to read for a while. So I am looking forward to delving into this. This is sci-fi, so it doesn't fit my team's prompt, but I still like to read it anyway during this face-off weekend, because why not? The next one on the list is The Pale House Devil by Richard Cadre. This is so short, like I think I have the audio for this as well, so I could even get through this quite quickly. This is 115 pages. So again, super quick, and oh, it's signed. Oh yeah, this is from my Abominable box. So this is like a haunted house story. I don't know much about this. I don't tend to read my synopsis anymore. I'm kind of like going in blind slightly. I say that I do read some of them just so I know if they fit prompts and things like that. But for this, obviously, there's no prompts. I don't need to read into this. I am looking forward to this one. I haven't seen many good things about this, simply because I haven't seen anybody read it. But it was part of my Abominable box, so I am intrigued to get to it. And yeah, I mean, all that's on the back are loads of quotes. People seem to like it, so I'm intrigued. I have read this author before. I read their collaboration book, The Dead Take the Atrium, and I really enjoyed that. It's very cosmic, so I'm intrigued to see what his writing is like for his standalone books. So this will be the first one that I read from him. Next up is another book that I have an audio for, and that's The Housemaid by Freda McFadden. I've had this on my shelf for a little while, and I want to read it. This is a thriller and it's part of a series at this point, but if I don't enjoy the first one, I'm not going to continue the series. I've heard a lot of mixed things about this book. Quite hesitant if I'm going to enjoy this one or not. So yeah, I thought I would put it on this list. It is 9 hours worth of audio. So with the speed that I read books with audio, I could probably get through this in like 4 hours. So I would have to dedicate a lot more time to this one. So this might be something I pick up later in the weekend, so like on Sunday. Next up, we have a book that I want to read for June. That was part of my June TBR, and it's In the Miso Soup. This is something that has been sat on my shelf for a while, and yeah, I would really love to read it this weekend, but the text is very dense and there's no audio that I can find for this book, so I'm not sure if that's going to be one I finish this weekend. There is a bookmark in it, but I haven't started it yet. I am literally on page 1. So yeah, I was anticipating starting this for a different prompt, but I ended up changing it to another book. So yeah, without audio, this one might be a struggle this weekend, but I'll see how I feel. Next up is a book that is a reread for me, and that is This Is Where We Talk Things Out by Caitlin Marquis. This one I read a couple of years ago and fell in love with this. I adored everything in this book. It was a 5-star read and it's so short. I could literally read this in less than an hour. So I thought I would throw it in here because it'll get me an extra book that was really easy to do. I really highly recommend this as well. It's so intense and it's like it deals with family drama and like bad relationships and stuff like that. So it's so intriguing and I'm looking forward to rereading this because I haven't picked it up since I first read it. So I would love to see how I get on with the second round of me reading it. And finally, the book that I'm probably not going to finish, but again, it's part of my June TBR. So I want to kind of start it and aim to finish it this weekend. And that's The Summer I Died by Ryan C. Thomas. I haven't started this one yet, but it was one I chose during my Psycho Killer, chooses my TBR, because it had a hatchet on the cover. And it's one that I've been meaning to read for a long time. I've had this suggested to me a lot. This has been a couple of favorites that I've seen. So I really want to get to it. It is chunky and I don't believe that there's audio for this. So it could take me a lot longer than the weekend to read this one. But if I start it, that would be amazing. And those are the 6 hopeful books that I want to read during this vlog. I'm not sure how many I will get through, but I will show you me reading and give you some thoughts and updates throughout the vlog and throughout this weekend. I'm now just jumping in here to tell you about the book that I've just read. And I have also just done a costume change during that hour because it's so warm in Edinburgh right now, which is so bizarre because literally like this morning there was clouds and it was cold. So that's why I was in my jumper. But it's so hot this afternoon. So costume change, the sun is still beaming in, as you can probably see. So we're going to do this quickly so then I can leave this room because it's so warm in here. Anyway, so I picked up The Pale House Devil first because this one has an audio. So I listened to this and read along at the same time. So that was quite good. I also then kind of put the book down, continued listening whilst I was doing some meal prep for the week. I know it's Saturday, but I'm prepping some sauce to kind of go in the freezer for the week. So yeah, so I also then finished this physically whilst listening along, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised by this. It's so short. It has like such a punchy atmosphere. So there's a lot going on. It's so fast paced. You're getting through a lot of this really quickly because it is so short. And so essentially, we're following two detectives, like private investigators, one who is alive and one who is unalive. And they are recruited by this old landowner trying to remove a creature from Pale House. And the story develops from there. We kind of learn more about the reasoning for this, what this guy is like himself, and also you're following this friendship between the two PIs. And it's such a fun, like banter based friendship that they have. We have Ford and Noonan. Noonan is the unalived character in this story, and they both go along this journey across country to kind of escape from New York because something went down in New York. And then they get hired by somebody in Los Angeles, California area to get rid of a devil in Pale House. And so it's such an interesting story. I really love the creature feature in this. It is slightly gory with very small body horror in this, which I really enjoyed. Body horror is such a fun topic to read about. I enjoy the goriness of it. This wasn't that gory, but you could tell that that's implied as well in certain parts. But the whole cosmic creature feature was quite interesting and really done well. I really loved how Richard wrote this book, and all of the characters in here. They all meshed really well together. And yeah, this is set up to me anyway, like the start of a new series. I'm not sure if it is, but how it's been written and how it ended, I feel like there should be more to this story and to these characters, because there is just so much there that you can develop and delve deeper into. So I really hope that Richard decides to kind of develop this story a little bit more and turn it into a full-fledged series, because I really enjoyed reading this. This was a good first read for this vlog. Super intrigued to get into more of these books now because it's just a really good start. My next read that I'm going to pick up straight away is This Is Where We Talk Things Out by Caitlin Marcoux. I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, so I have read that book already, so I'm just rereading because it is such a fun read and I really enjoyed reading it the first time. So I am going to delve into that one again, and yeah, shouldn't take me too long. So let's get into it. A little while since I sat down and chatted to the camera because I was trying to read as many pages as possible. So it is now 5 o'clock on Sunday, which is the end of Face Off weekend in my time zone. And I have to tell you about the books that I haven't told you about yet. So I ended up finishing This Is Where We Talk Things Out last night. I finished this just before settling down to watch a movie last night. And this was a reread for me, so nothing too intense. It's only 85 pages, and it was as intense in terms of storyline as I remember. This follows like a dysfunctional family. Our main character, Miller, her mum is kind of estranged from her and her current life. She has a fiance and she is marrying her partner, and her mum doesn't really like the idea. Her mum invites her to the cabin during a snowstorm, and it is a way to talk things out, try to heal their relationship, but it's just chaotic. Her mum is a narcissist, or like a gaslighter. She is so manipulative, that makes you really feel sorry for Miller in this situation. The book packs a punch, and you're really thrown in the deep end with this story. So it's a really fun read, and I'm so glad that I chose to reread it. Then next we had The Summer I Died by Ryan C. Thomas. So I didn't initially think I would finish this book during this weekend, but I got hooked big time in this story. I didn't want to put it down. I had to continue reading this to see what happens at the end of this gory, like, gore fest of a story. So essentially, The Summer I Died follows two friends who are reunited for a summer. One of them, Roger, goes off to college, and his other friend, Tooth, stays home, and they are kind of bonding again, getting that summer vibe, trying to enjoy and soak up all of the moments that they can. Their connection, their chemistry together is very different. We learn a lot about their backstories really early on. This story kind of develops the history of them first before we are thrust into the chaos that ensues this summer. And so essentially they go on a hike, kind of, and they hear a woman pleading for help and screaming. So they try to be heroes and go and try and help this woman because she sounded distressed. They stumble upon this psychotic killer, and they end up doing stuff with their own weapons that they had on them, and angers this psychotic killer that then has them chained in his land. I don't want to give too much away, but essentially this is full of gory, disgusting, everything you can think of, grossness. It's all packed in this book, and it was such an intense read. I really wanted to put it down at some points, but not put it down, if that makes any sense. So, I mean, it was so fast paced and entertaining where I just wanted to keep turning the pages and keep reading and just engulf myself in this story. But also I wanted to put it down because of how intense the story got. There are a lot of trigger warnings in this. That is the reason why I wanted to put it down for a bit, and just step out of it, but I didn't want to do that at all because I'm just obsessed with goriness and body horror. So I ate this book up. I can see why a lot of people enjoy this book, and it's like a splatterpunk gore fest. So if you're into that, I do highly recommend reading The Summer I Died. For me, I really enjoy horror when it's kind of real life horror, in the sense that this book covers topics that we often see in crime-based stories, where man is the real monster. It's not a supernatural, ghostly figure that is causing the horror. This is an actual person that has a messed up mind that is so psychotic that wants to kill for the fun of it. And I find that that's often a lot scarier to me when there's an actual human being behind the horrors. So I think that's why I enjoy these types of stories a lot more. That's not to say I don't enjoy the ghostly supernatural stuff. I adore ghost stories as well. they are some fun to read, but for me, stuff that scares me and gives me that fright are stories with humans behind the horror. So with that, I really loved this whole entire story. I'm not giving it a 5-star because I don't think that the first half of this story was that gripping. The rest of the story was mad, and that's why I think it's only a 4. But yeah, it's still an incredible read, and I highly recommend picking it up if you're not too queasy and you enjoy extreme horror books. And the last book that I read for Face Off weekend was one that I wasn't hopeful that I was going to enjoy, and I think that this was the biggest surprise for me, and that's The Housemaid. This one, I went into thinking that this wasn't going to be a book for me. I don't really enjoy domestic thrillers, but for some reason this book hooked me. I was so drawn into this story, and I just wanted to read this in like literally one sitting. So yeah, this one was my biggest surprise this weekend. This book is following Millie, who becomes a housemaid for this rich family, and she is thrust into this world where the mum, Nina, has some mental issues and is making Millie's life as a housemaid kind of difficult. And she is. And there's something secret about the housemaid, there's something secret about the family, and there's something secret within the home. So throughout the story, you're kind of watching this develop through Millie's eyes. And then when we get into part 2, we actually learn what exactly goes on with these other POVs. And so it's an interesting twist. I really enjoyed reading the twist in this story. I just feel like this was a surprising read. I really ate this one up and enjoyed every second of reading it. I didn't think that that was possible for me, and I definitely didn't see that ending coming. So yeah, biggest surprise of this weekend. Not going to say too much because obviously it's a thriller and you have to delve into this one yourselves. But yeah, this is a really good read, and I now am considering picking up the sequels. I wasn't considering that before, but now that I absolutely adored it, I'm probably going to have to read the sequels. I'm probably going to do that on audio rather than buying it physically. I don't tend to keep thrillers after I read them for the first time. I never really go back and reread these books, so there's no point in me buying it physically. So I will listen to the others if I decide on audio. And so there you have it. I finished this 48-hour period reading 6 books for Face Off weekend, but I read 4 of them for this vlog. So I think that that's a really good stat for me. I never really get through this many books in one weekend. So I'm glad to push myself and finish a lot of these. And I've loved reading every single one of these. So this is definitely a successful vlog. And I think that The Palehouse Devil was my favourite read from the 4 of these. The biggest surprise is definitely The Housemaid. The Summer I Died was so intense that really hooked me and was so gross. So definitely love that. And This Is Where We Talk Things Out. It was a comfort reread. So of course, they were all incredible books and ones that I would highly recommend picking up yourselves if you haven't read them yet. So unfortunately that means I haven't got around to reading In the Miso Soup or The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It was a stretch to finish 6 books in a video. I will try to finish these during the rest of the month, as this is a host favourite. This is part of my June TBR. So we'll get to them at some point. Let me know in the comments what you read during this weekend. I would love to know. And until next time, keep your pages turning and embrace the darkness. Bye!